Hello everyone and welcome back to Grassland Studios. In today's video we're going to be showing you how to draw Chi-Chi. Now a few disclaimers I want to put out there before we start analyzing the construction of the character. As you're going to notice, not all of the characters are drawn on the same model. Now what does that mean? Well, as Dragon Ball progressed as a show, the actual styles of the characters ended up changing. So the models of the characters ended up changing as well. Depending on what arc of the story you want to fit, perhaps your own story or animation or just drawing the characters in general, wherever you want to put that through, the models of the characters are going to be different. So instead of adjusting them just to all fit the same model, I thought it would be important just to put them in there as exactly as they are, just so you can see that sometimes that happens within shows. And it also might help your characters to look a bit more realistic when doing whatever it is that you're doing, because they're actually going to fit to how they looked like in that part of the show. Another thing that I want to put out there is that I am recording this literally minutes after just finishing this tutorial. So I wanted to have, as you know, I try to make the most organic experience. I don't draw poses over and over and over again, the exact same thing prior to making a tutorial. I'm literally grabbing actual images of the character and breaking it down, putting the construction before you. That way it's the most organic experience. That way I'm actually fully analyze the construction of the character in real time on screen, so that way you can see for yourself how you do it and how you analyze a character, so then you can use it for your own drawings and that you can make your own models off of it. So the first that we've got right here is going to be very early on in Dragon Ball Z. What's characteristic of this version of Chi-Chi as early on in the show is that she's going to have one of the longest faces. What does that mean? The proportions are going to be changed. So in this one, what you're going to see is that the actual chin is pulled further down. The actual face is elongated relative to later on in the show. The eyes are still going to be very large. The ears are going to be very large, as is the hair, as is characteristic to the character in general. If you had a silhouette of the character, that's what people would know, is they were going to look at the hair, they're going to look at the ears, look at the relative style of the character, and then go, that's Chi-Chi. But what's important to this is that you look at that and you say, okay, early on, that's how the character looked, so I need to draw them like this. If we're looking at this, the actual ear is going to be relatively large. They're going to fit from the top of the eyes itself, and they're going to go a little bit all the way below to where the nose is. Now, why am I saying that the proportions are off? Well, relative to the size of the head, the actual size of her head, her eyes, her ears are going to be massive compared to that. And then the nose and the mouth are going to be very, very small. So when you're doing that, just take that into account. We're gonna have this sort of dome sort of shape for her hair. Draw the nose, which is very small. Just gonna actually draw some lines using a symbol of the nose. But then what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw the actual shadow. So you're gonna pull it out to make more cohesive as a stylist with the characters. Just really quickly, we're gonna sketch out here the actual sort of proportions of the rest of the character, just for the upper shoulders and chest. That way you get a relative sense of how big the head is relative to the character. angry pose, depending on how you put this. In which case you're going to want to really define the upper eyebrows and dig them down into the skin. Sort of a more volumetric size of hair. As we can see in the other one, it's sort of a cylindrical shape of the actual whole head. This one's going to be more of like a circular shape of the entirety of the head because the actual hair has been pushed down. It's more poofy. Again, drawing the small nose, small mouth, going out here with the neck of the character. And then again, just drawing a general sense of the actual size of the shoulders, the rest of the upper body right here, just so we can get a general sense of how the character would be relative to the rest of it. And so right here what we're doing is we're just drawing in sort of her scarf and cape that she has later on from her dress within Dragon Ball Z. If you're wondering about this as I make the characters a little bit smaller so we can fit in a third pose right here, I'm drawing this at about 1.8 to ×2 speed. The actual construction of the character is more important than the actual drafting as we get later on. The construction is how we're going to be able to create our character, how we're going to be able to analyze it in real time, and that's the most important part, to be able to draw the character correctly and finding the proportions of the character. When it comes to drafting and making the final layer, that's where you're just going over what you already have. And so it's important that everything you have prior be correct, so that way you're not trying to adjust things later on in the process. Right here, the actual head, we're going a little bit back before the Majin Buu arc. We're going to be going to around a little bit before, in between the Cell Saga, which is where her model was changed just a little bit more than it was relative to the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. So we're going to pull down her face and her jaw a little bit more. We're going to stretch her face a little bit more. It's not going to be as much as the face was in the first one. It's around the same time, but they were starting to sort of squash it just a little bit in some of the poses around this time. Although she's surprised, so we're going to have her chin pulling down, so it may not seem like it because what we're trying to do with her cheeks. You're going to want to have these really wide eyes as she's got this surprised look. She's like, huh? What's going on? And so you're going to have her eyebrows going up. You're going to have her eyes going really wide, as well as the pupils getting a little bit smaller, so you can have that surprise look. This is one where we actually have her locks, which are coming down right from the hair. Believe it or not, Chi-Chi's actually got several different styles of hair, which actually really vary. And you can actually change it to how you want, because the hair is very fluidic in its sense. And so you can do a whole bunch of different things. Even if you want, years down the line of whatever arc you want to put the character in, even though the proportions may change, you can always adjust the hairstyle relative to those proportions. So it's really nice because you can sort of play with the different hairstyles and make your own sort of stories out of that. Your own versions of the character. Again, adding the bun, which is going to be right on top right there. As one thing that you're going to notice within the ears of the character for Chi-Chi, depending on who the artist is, in some cases the ears are not on model with each other. They may be completely different. Now you can get away with that sometimes in animation because things are moving so quickly. We're just sort of looking for the main sort of silhouette and look of the character. But if you're going to be doing a comic or any sort of still image, it's going to really point out, unfortunately, if your ears look different from one to the next. So if you are doing a sort of comic or a still image, do try to get those ears to look on model. Do try to have them appear as if they're identical to each other. Again, having that sort of 3D look right there with a single line and then the 3D shadow of the ear, of the nose right there. Just going in real quick, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a little bit of the hair right there. We're going to draw those locks. We're going to try to make more of a symmetrical hairline right there, as well as the ears. And again, just adding a little bit, which is going to be the neck of the dress. She's got a tie, which is going to be some fabric, which is actually going to be put right up there where that bun is. And so we're just adding that slight little line, if you were wondering what that was above, which is going to tie the little bun together. Okay, so we've got these two sharp lines which contribute to her attitude right here. You can see that as we said, the sharper the lines are that are from the hair itself right there, when you have those two sharp strands, it's going to have like a fierce look. Sharp objects or sharp lines are going to be really distinct, while loose ones are going to contribute to the attitude itself. So that's making it add. She does have pierced ears, so sometimes you can choose to have earrings. Sometimes you can do just a little bit of a smaller earring. Sometimes you don't have to have any there at all. Depends on how you want the character to look. Again, making those eyes really wide, making the face really squashed because of her. She's got her cheeks really high up. She's sort of angry. She's sort of being fierce right there, and that's what you're trying to depict. And as you're going to see right here, when we go right up into the top, where the forehead's going to be, we're going to have it be wider, as we talked about. As you can already see right there, we're going to draw straight up. There's going to be a little bit of hair which is coming out from the sides of the ears right there. And we're just going to add in that bun. We're just going to have a quick little bit of hair coming out from that. And the eyelashes, of course, as well, which can be put on. She has 4 eyelashes, which can be the left and to the right in both places. When you're drawing the eyes, what you may notice is that they're not outlined all the way around. They're only outlined for most parts relative to the beginning and before the Majin Buu arc. There are only dark lines around the outside of the eye where the eyelashes are as well, big, dark, bold lines, and the actual inside part of the eyes do not have any outlining, and instead the actual eye and the pupil are supposed to make up for that outline. It's supposed to be right there. So keep that in mind depending on what era and what style of the model you actually choose to draw. The disheveled look, we're going to have multiple different lines of hair. And we've got that little bonnet, the little cap, which is going to be on top, which is holding her bun in. So you got just a quick few fabric lines to show the actual fabric is being pulled in. Again, adding those inquisitive look like, huh? What did you say? Pulling the eyes going to be a little bit wider. Eyebrows going up, and that little space right between. And this one, of course, we're only drawing the outside of the eyes right there, with the darker lines. Just get that sort of inquisitive look, worried look almost. And again, just adding some quick lines are just going to be for the face, or for the actual chest right there, and the rest of the body. There we go. And then real quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to draw it in. The first iteration along this one, you're going to have really sort of shiny hair, while the rest is going to be very matte black. I'm not drawing all the hair in, just the main parts, just so you can see relative to the styles what you're going to need. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all we've got for today. Stay tuned for more tutorials and go check out my other content. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.